Lindsay, Barbara Isola here. This is Into the Frying Pan Stay-at-Home Edition. I know you all are probably doing the same thing we are doing, and that's staying home as much as possible. First of all, in these unprecedented times, we have to do a big shout out to all the hospital workers, the doctors, the nurses, the respiratory therapists, the physical therapists, the pharmacists, the housekeeping staff and dietary folks, the truck drivers, all our truck drivers, our first responders, and those working in grocery stores keeping us fed. Now, I don't know about you, but in these times, I'm really trying to minimize the amount of time I'm going to the grocery store. And it's really hard because I'm one of those people who run into the grocery store almost every day. I just like to see what's out there and what the mood hits me. And now I have to plan, and quite frankly, it's getting old. But we're doing the best we can do. You know, thank God we're healthy and our family's healthy and our friends, and you know, we're just really blessed. So one of the things we're doing is trying to really utilize being really strategic as to what we do with our meals. Now, the other day I made spaghetti and meatballs and red sauce, and it was really delicious. Just so comforting. I mean, what's better than that, right? But now we can heat it up in the microwave, the spaghetti. We could fry it in butter to have a plate of it like my grandmother used to do, which is actually delicious. But one of the things that I've done, and I think I did it years ago on Into the Frying Pan, is we make a spaghetti pie. Now, there's really not a recipe for this, it's more of a method. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our leftover spaghetti, and this could be any shaped pasta, okay? So you're gonna look at the quantity that you have, and you're gonna determine what kind of casserole dish you have that's gonna fit the spaghetti. So this one is gonna fit this much pasta, and we're gonna also be adding things to it, okay? So what you add depends on what you have on hand. Now, I have a bunch of meatballs in there that I could chop up and add to this, but I'm not going to, for the simple reason we like them as sandwiches and we like to have them for lunch. So that's a leftover that we will eat, at least I will. Tim eats all leftovers, so I don't have to worry about him, thank goodness. But, so what I'm going to do though is I had an extra small eggplant that I had bought. I made eggplant parm last night, and normally when I make eggplant parm, I make like 3 or 4 large eggplants, and it takes forever and it's a labor of love. Well, I made 1 large eggplant last night and it was a snap, so it was great. But I had this extra emergency eggplant that I bought, which I'm sure all of you do the same thing, and I didn't need it. So what I did before you came is I just cubed up the eggplant and I sauteed it with some olive oil, salt and pepper. I put a little garlic powder on just because I had it. Now, when you saute the eggplant, I just got a little brown on it. It's going to drink a lot of oil. Eggplant is so, it's like a sponge, so it's gonna suck it in, but it'll taste good, so don't worry about it. So let's get cooking, shall we? You could butter this casserole dish. I'm just gonna use a cooking spray and spray it. And now let's start making our pie, shall we? All right, let's move this. And I'm gonna put my pasta into a bowl. I don't know about you, I've been washing my hands so much. I washed them before we began, and my hands are really clean, so I'm going to use my hands to help me along, okay? So what you want to do is kind of loosen the strands of the pasta, all right? So that it's not clumped together, and so that we can add all the other beautiful ingredients that we're going to add. Here we go. Okay, that's messy. All right. The other thing I'm doing since this whole thing began is trying not to use a million paper towels. So I'm breaking myself of my paper towel habit too, so we'll see how that goes. All right, so I'm gonna take the cubed eggplant and throw that in. Let me get something to throw it in with because that's hot. And so we're going to put that in. And then, you know, you want something that's really going to bind it. I'm going to put some cheese in. I happen to have some shredded mutts that I bought already pre-shredded. I usually don't buy it, but that's all I could get one time. I was in the store or I did a delivery, I don't remember. Because there is some cellulose on it to prevent it from clumping, but you know what? We're in quarantine, okay? So let's not get too excited about that. All right, let's mix the eggplant, that is very hot, in to the pasta. Let's put in our cheese. It's less than a whole bag, but again, put as much or as little as you like. Let's get it distributed. Then I have some grated Parm, and I have some grated Romano. Again, you don't have that, you have cheddar, you have Gruyere, you have anything else, put it in. It's gonna taste good. Trust me, it is going to be delicious. All right, so let's put a little Romano. How much? This much. And then we're gonna put some Parm. Yum. And now what we're gonna do, we'll toss this. And let's put some pepper because I like it. Do you? I think I use a lot of pepper. And one of the things that I really advise you to do with your pepper mill, this sounds kind of obsessive, it's really not. I want you to grind your pepper mill and figure out how many turns it takes to make a teaspoon. 28 grinds for a teaspoon on my pepper mill. So when you have time on your hands, which many people do, you could figure out how many grinds make a teaspoon. Now I know a lot of you are home, you're alone, you're isolated, and I feel your pain, man. I mean, I miss seeing people very much. And to the people with kids who are working from home, and oh gosh, it's a challenge for so many people. And you know, I really know there are so many circumstances out there. All right, so now let's get a little something fresh. I have some fresh parsley that I already used and gave it a haircut. I washed it, so let's just put some in. I don't really want to use a lot of the stems, and just give it a good chop. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. That looks good. Let's add it, shall we? Bowl. Back in. Mix it around. And now we need to do something to really bind this, okay? But first, what we're gonna do is put this in the casserole dish. I think we'll make it look good. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. I could hear some of you are worried. Don't be. It's perfect. And there we go. All right, get that eggplant distributed nicely. Okay, so now if I put this in the oven right now, it would totally fall apart. So we need some glue for it. And the glue that I'm gonna use is some eggs. I don't want this to be really eggy, so I'm only gonna use 2 eggs, which I have right here. 1, 2. Alrighty. And I'm going to kind of whisk them together. And then I'm going to add a couple of cups of milk, cream, buttermilk. No fat milk probably wouldn't work real well. You want to have some kind of fat in there to bind it, okay? So in this case, I happen to have some buttermilk. I love the taste of buttermilk. It's kind of tangy, so I'm going to use a cup of that or so. As you can see, there's nothing that is absolutely written in stone here. And then I have some heavy cream because it lasts longer, and I say it all the time that I can't keep milk. In fact, we had to throw some away. It broke my heart today. But I got a message from a friend, Pat Welch, who tells me you could put small quantities of milk in a jar and freeze it for when you need it. Who knew? I didn't. Thanks, Pat. Pat lives at 1000 Southern Artery, and I really appreciate that tip. So I will be doing that the next time I buy some milk. Glad to know it. Always have to learn. Okay, so there we go. We have a nice little, it's not going to be real custardy, right? So now what we're doing is we're going to pour it. And we want to pour it evenly so it distributes throughout. Okay, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do so it'll go down into the casserole. So we're going to kind of just go like this, okay? Now, if we were a real high-class operation, right now there'd be like lovely music playing to accompany this. So I could hum, but I think you'd rather I didn't. Maybe Joe, my future son-in-law, will compose a little ditty for me. We'll see. So there we go. Okay. That looks good, right? But we're gonna bake it. And I think we need a little cheese on top. What do you think? We have a couple of options. I have some mutts that's sliced, that's good. Or we could just do the grated cheese. What do you think? I think I'm just gonna go with the grated cheese this time, because this is pretty rich to begin with. So this is the parm. We'll put a layer of that. You could even put breadcrumbs if you wished. Oh, that would be good, right? Maybe some breadcrumbs with butter to make it crunchy. Should we do that? I think we're gonna do that. Let's do it right now. And I don't even know that we need the butter. Let's get some panko, which are those beautiful Japanese breadcrumbs. There we go. Let's put some panko on. See, this thing, it's just a matter of whatever you think of at the time. So let's put some breadcrumbs. And I think it's gonna need a little something to help it brown up. So I think I'll just put a little olive oil. It doesn't have to be the real good stuff. We could serve with that. So let's just put a little bit. That's really not that much. It looks like a lot, but it's not. And now it's gonna go into the oven that I have preheated at 375. I have it on convection. I may up it to 400, I'm not sure. And we're gonna put it in and we're going to hang out. I'll clean up a little and I'll show you the end result. All right, so it's been about 20-25 minutes. I'm gonna turn the oven off. I had it on 375 convection, but I moved it to 400 because I looked and I wasn't crazy about the way it was browning. But that's what it looks like. Oh my gosh, this is so good. It's crunchy and it needs to sit here. You need to let it sit. If you scooped into this right now, it would kind of be a globby mess. So you want to wait about 15-20 minutes before you eat this. Believe me, it'll still be hot and it will be so delicious. It's so funny because we were just talking about what was the last show we did, and we did baked ziti, fancy baked ziti, which is so different than this. You know, I was thinking, is that too similar? No, because this is really something that you could cobble together a meal. Why am I doing this with these on my hands? Okay, so Here's the thing. Thank you so much for coming into the frying pan. Hopefully this works. And just want to say, I know there's a lot of people who are struggling through these times, and if you're looking for something to do, to contribute to, Quincy, and I'm sure if you're not in Quincy, there's a lot of different places that you could donate. In Quincy, QCAP has the food center that is experiencing a very large demand. You could go on their website, which I believe is qcap.org. If not, it's QCAP, it'll come up. And there's also the Interfaith Social Services that has a food bank. I'm sure there are others. So thank you so much for coming into the frying pan. I hope we all stay well, and I can't wait to see you on the other end of this, okay? So stay well. Thank you.